This happened during my sophomore year of college, when a group of us decided to do a last-minute spring break trip to the coast. We didn't plan it well. By the time we actually started booking things, most decent hotels were either sold out or ridiculously expensive. After hours of searching, we found a small beachfront hotel that still had availability. It wasn't anything fancy, more like one of those older, slightly run-down places, but it was cheap and right by the water. There were 4 of us: me, my friend Tyler, his girlfriend Jess, and another friend, Marcus. We got there around 8 p.m. after a long drive. The parking lot was dimly lit, and the building itself looked older than the photos online. The neon vacancy sign flickered slightly above the office. Inside, the front desk clerk barely looked up at us. He handed us a key card, told us our room number, 214, and pointed us toward the stairs. Nothing about it felt welcoming, but we were too tired to care. Room 214 was at the end of the second floor walkway. As we approached, I noticed something right away. The door wasn't fully closed. It was slightly open, just an inch or two. We all kind of slowed down. Housekeeping probably just finished, Tyler said, pushing the door open. We walked in. At first glance, everything looked normal. 2 beds, a small TV, a table by the window. But within a few seconds, little things started to stand out. The beds were made, but not neatly. The sheets were tucked in loosely, like someone had tried to fix them in a hurry. One of the pillows had a deep indentation in the center, like someone had been lying there recently. Jess noticed it too. "Did they not clean this room?" she said. Marcus walked over to the bathroom and flipped on the light. Guys?" We all turned. There was a towel hanging over the shower rod, still damp. I stepped closer and touched it. It wasn't just slightly wet. It was warm, like someone had used it not long ago. A strange silence settled over the room. Then we noticed the TV. It was on. Not playing a channel, just that static gray noise. No sound, just the image. Tyler grabbed the remote and turned it off. "Okay, yeah, this is weird," he said. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt like we weren't alone in that room. Like someone could still be there, watching us. "Let's just get a different room," Jess said. No one argued. We grabbed our bags and went straight back to the front desk. The clerk looked annoyed when we explained. "There's no way anyone's been in that room," he said flatly. "It was cleaned this afternoon." "The towel was wet," I said, "and the TV was on." He sighed like we were inconveniencing him. "I'll give you another room," he said, "down the hall." He handed us a new key. Room 219. That room was normal. Clean beds, dry bathroom, no weird signs of anyone being there. We settled in, trying to laugh off what had just happened. "Probably just lazy housekeeping," Marcus said. "Or someone used it before check-in," Tyler added. None of us really believed that, but it was easier than thinking about it too much. The night went on normally after that. We ordered food, watched TV, and eventually went to bed. I woke up sometime around 2 a.m. At first, I wasn't sure what had woken me. Then I heard it, knocking, soft, rhythmic, tap, tap, tap. I sat up in bed, trying to figure out where it was coming from. It wasn't our door. It was quieter than that. Then it happened again. Tap, tap, tap. This time I realized it was coming from the wall to our left. I nudged Tyler, who was sleeping in the other bed. "Do you hear that?" I whispered. He stirred, then sat up. The knocking came again. Jess sat up too. "What is that?" she said. We all turned toward the wall. Room 214 was on the other side, the room we had originally been given. Tap, Tap, tap. Marcus turned on the bedside lamp. Someone's in there, he said. That's not possible, Tyler replied. They said no one was. Tap, tap, tap. This time it was louder, more deliberate, like whoever was making the noise knew we could hear it. My chest tightened. Maybe it's pipes or something, Jess said, but her voice didn't sound convinced. Then the knocking stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, a slow scraping sound, like something dragging across the wall. All four of us just sat there, frozen. The sound moved along the wall, from one end of the room to the other. Then it stopped again. A few seconds passed. Then we heard something that made my stomach drop. A voice, muffled, coming through the wall. We couldn't make out words, just the sound of someone speaking quietly, right on the other side. Jess grabbed Tyler's arm. "Call the front desk," she whispered. Tyler picked up the room phone and dialed. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. The voice on the other side of the wall got slightly louder. Still indistinct. Still impossible to understand. But definitely there. Marcus stood up. "I'm checking it," he said. "Don't," I said immediately. But he was already at the door. He opened it and stepped out into the hallway. The rest of us followed a second later. The walkway was empty. The lights buzzed faintly overhead. Room 214 was just a few doors down. The door was closed now, fully shut. Marcus walked up to it slowly. The rest of us stayed back. "Hello?" he called. No response. He knocked once. Nothing. Then he reached for the handle. It didn't move. Locked. We stood there for a few seconds, listening. Silence. No knocking. No voice. Nothing. Eventually, we went back to our room and locked the door. None of us slept much after that. The next morning, we went straight to the front desk. A different employee was there this time. We explained everything. The knocking, the voice, the room next door. She looked confused. "Room 214? She said. "That room isn't being used." "We know," Tyler said, "but someone was in there last night." She shook her head. "That room's been out of service for weeks," she said. "Plumbing issue. It's not even supposed to be assigned." My stomach dropped. We told her we had been given that room when we checked in. She frowned and checked the system. "There's no record of that," she said. Just like that. No explanation, no apology, nothing. We checked out that day and found another place to stay. But there's one thing I still think about. When we stood outside, room 214 that night, after the knocking stopped, I remember looking at the bottom of the door and seeing something move. A shadow, like someone was standing right on the other side. This happened during spring break, my junior year of college, when a group of us decided to rent a house instead of staying in a hotel. There were 6 of us total, and we found a place in a quiet, coastal town about 20 minutes away from the main tourist area. It was cheaper, less crowded, and honestly looked perfect in the listing photos. 2 floors, a small backyard, and a short walk to the beach. When we got there, everything seemed normal. The house was older than we expected, but not in a bad way, just slightly worn. The kind of place that felt like it had been lived in for a long time. The first 2 days were completely fine. We went to the beach, went out to eat, hung around the house at night. Nothing unusual. If anything, it felt like a break from everything. Then the 3rd night happened. We had spent most of the evening at the beach and got back to the house around 10:30. It was still warm out, so we decided to sit in the backyard for a while. The yard was small, enclosed by a wooden fence, with a single gate that led out to the side of the house and the street beyond. We were sitting around, talking, when we heard footsteps on the sidewalk outside the fence. Not unusual. People walk by all the time. But then the footsteps slowed and stopped, right outside the gate. There was a pause, then a voice. "You guys should lock your doors tonight." We all went quiet. Tyler was the first to speak. "What?" We stood up and moved toward the fence. Through the gaps in the wood, we could see a man standing on the sidewalk. He looked like he was in his 40s, average height, wearing a dark hoodie with the hood down. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry either, just calm, watching us. "What are you talking about?" Marcus asked. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, his eyes shifted slightly. He looked directly at me. Then he said my name, my full name. I felt my stomach drop. Before I could even react, he said another name, Jess's, then Tyler's, one by one. 3 of us, all correct. A cold, heavy silence settled over the yard. "How do you know us?" Tyler asked. The man didn't respond. He just stood there for another second. Then he turned and started walking down the street. Just like that, no explanation, no hesitation, he disappeared around the corner within seconds. For a moment, none of us said anything. Then Jess laughed nervously. "Okay, that was weird." "Yeah," Marcus said, "probably just messing with us." But his voice didn't sound convinced. I didn't say anything, because I knew something didn't make sense. We hadn't met anyone in that town. We hadn't introduced ourselves to strangers. There was no reason that man should know our names. "Maybe he heard us talking earlier," Tyler said. But even that didn't feel right. He knew our full names, not just first names. After a few minutes, we brushed it off as best we could and went back inside. But the mood had changed. The house didn't feel as comfortable anymore. That night, before going to bed, I made sure the front door was locked. I remember turning the deadbolt and checking it twice. Jess said she locked the back door too. We all went to sleep not long after. I woke up sometime in the middle of the night. At first I didn't know why. Then I realized the house felt off, too quiet, even for that late. I sat up in bed and listened. Nothing. No footsteps, no voices, just silence. Then I noticed something. My bedroom door was slightly open. I was sure I had closed it before going to sleep. I stared at the gap for a few seconds, trying to remember. Maybe I hadn't shut it all the way. Maybe it just drifted open. That's what I told myself as I got up to close it. But as I stepped into the hallway, I saw something that made my chest tighten. At the far end of the hallway, the back door was open, wide open. Cold air drifted inside, from the darkness outside. I froze. Every thought in my head came to a stop. I knew that door had been locked. I had watched Jess lock it. Slowly, I walked toward it. Each step felt heavier than the last. The house creaked quietly around me. When I reached the doorway, I looked outside. The backyard was dark, completely still. The gate at the end of the fence was slightly ajar, just enough to move in the wind, or for someone to have passed through. My heart started pounding. I stepped back inside and locked the door immediately. Then I went through the house, checking every window, every lock. Everything was secure, except that door. The next morning, I told everyone what I saw. At first, they thought I was overreacting. Maybe someone forgot to lock it. Maybe it didn't latch properly. But then Jess spoke up. "I locked it," she said. "I remember doing it." The room went quiet. None of us had an explanation. We spent the rest of the day on edge, double-checking locks, keeping doors closed, and constantly glancing out the windows. That night, we didn't sit outside. We stayed inside with all the lights on. Around midnight, there was a knock at the front door. 3 slow knocks. We all froze. No one moved. The knock came again. Then a voice. From the other side of the door. Soft. Calm. "You forgot to lock one last night." My blood ran cold. It was him. The same man. No one said a word. We just stood there in silence, waiting. After a few seconds, we heard footsteps. Walking away. We didn't open the door. We didn't look outside. We just stayed there, listening until the sound faded completely. We left the next morning, cut the trip short. None of us wanted to stay another night in that house. But there's one thing I still think about. Something I didn't realize until later. When I woke up that night and saw the back door open, my bedroom door was already open too, which means whoever opened that back door had already been inside the house. We didn't mean to stay that late. Spring break had that way of stretching time, of making hours feel loose and disposable. The beach was nearly empty by midnight, just us. The slow hiss of the tide, and the distant blink of a buoy far out in the dark water. The air had cooled, but the sand still held warmth beneath us, like something alive and breathing slowly under the surface. "There's no way it's already 12, Jonah said, checking his phone for the 3rd time. "It's fine," Mara replied, tossing a shell back toward the water. "The house is, what, 20 minutes away?" 22, I said automatically. I'd been the one driving all week. I knew the route. At least I thought I did. We packed up lazily, towels damp, voices quieter than before. Something about the night had shifted, though none of us said it out loud. The ocean sounded louder now, closer, as if it had crept up while we weren't looking. By the time we reached the car, the parking lot was empty, completely empty. "That's comforting," Jonah muttered, glancing around. "Love that for us." "Relax," Mara said, climbing into the front seat. "You're acting like we're in a horror movie." I laughed, but it came out thin. We pulled out onto the narrow road that led away from the beach, the headlights cutting a pale tunnel through the darkness. The dunes rose on either side, tall and uneven, blocking out everything beyond them. For a while, it felt normal again. Music low, windows cracked, the steady rhythm of tires on asphalt. Then Jonah leaned forward between the seats. "Hey," he said, "there's a car behind us." I checked the rearview mirror. 2 headlights, steady and distant. "Yeah," I said. "So?" "It wasn't there before. It probably just left after us." Jonah didn't sit back. He kept watching. We drove on. The first turn came up, a right onto a wider road lined with sparse houses. I took it without thinking. The headlights followed. Still not strange. The second turn was a left, cutting inland. Fewer houses here, more trees. The road narrowed slightly, the center line fading in places. The headlights followed again. Jonah shifted. "Okay." "What?" Mara asked. "That's 2 turns. So if they were going somewhere else, they could still be," I interrupted. "It's the same direction." No one said anything after that. The 3rd turn wasn't part of the usual route. I don't know why I took it. Maybe I missed the sign. Maybe I was distracted. Or maybe, though I didn't realize it at the time, I already felt something was off, and some quiet instinct pushed me to test it. I turned right onto a street I didn't recognize. Narrow, unlit. Trees arched overhead, their branches knitting together into something almost solid. The headlights turned with us. Jonah let out a short laugh. "Okay, that's weird." "It's coincidence," Mara said. but her voice lacked conviction. "To where?" he pressed. "There's nothing out here." I frowned, scanning the road ahead. He was right. This wasn't the way back. I didn't remember this street at all. "I'll just loop back," I said. "Yeah," Jonah said. "Do that." We drove for another minute. No intersections, no driveways, just the road stretching forward, identical in every direction. "That's not," Mara started. "There should have been a turn by now." "I know." I slowed slightly, looking for anything. Any break in the trees, any signpost. There was nothing. Behind us, the headlights brightened. Closer now. "Okay," Jonah said, his voice tightening. "They're definitely following us." "Stop saying it like that," Mara snapped. "Like what?" "Like it's true." The car behind us flashed its high beams. Once, twice, then again. Rapid, insistent. I flinched, the sudden brightness filling the mirror. "What do they want?" Mara whispered. "Maybe they think we're going too slow," I said. "Then they can go around." "They haven't," Jonah said. The high beams flashed again. On, off, on, off. Each burst of light felt deliberate. Not impatient, communicative, like a signal. "Just pull over," Mara said. "Let them pass." I hesitated. Something about the road, about the way it seemed to stretch endlessly forward, made the idea of stopping feel wrong. "No," I said. "I'll just keep going." "To where?" Jonah asked. I didn't answer, because I didn't know. The trees seemed thicker now, their shadows pressing closer to the edges of the road. The air outside looked heavier, as if the darkness had a weight. The high beams kept flashing, faster now, more erratic. "Okay, no," Mara said. "No, this is not normal." "I know. Do something." "I am." I pressed the gas. The engine responded, but not the way it should have. The acceleration felt sluggish, like we were dragging something behind us. The headlights surged forward, matching us. Closer than before. Too close. "Don't let them get that close," Jonah said, his voice sharp. "I'm trying." The road curved suddenly. I followed it instinctively, the turn tighter than I expected. The tires squealed slightly, the car swaying before straightening out. The headlights followed perfectly, not a second behind, as if they knew the road, as if they'd driven it 1,000 times. "We don't know where we are," Mara said, her voice trembling now. "We don't know where we are." I gripped the wheel harder. "I'll find the main road." "How?" Jonah demanded. "There's nothing here." The high beam stopped. Just stopped. The sudden absence of flashing felt worse than the lights themselves. For a moment, everything was still. Then, the headlights went out. Completely. The road behind us vanished into darkness. "No," Mara breathed. "No, no, no." "They turned off," I said quickly. That's good, right?" "Why would they turn off?" Jonah said. "Why would they—" A new light appeared. Not behind us. Ahead. Far down the road. 2 faint points, low to the ground. They flickered once, then steadied. My stomach dropped. "That's not—" I started. The lights grew brighter. Closer. Coming toward us. "Is that another car?" Mara asked. Jonah twisted in his seat, looking back. No one's behind us anymore. Ahead, the lights continued forward. Slow, deliberate. Then they split. Not like headlights turning, like something separating. One light drifted slightly left, the other slightly right. Too far apart. Farther than any car's width. "What am I looking at?" Jonah whispered. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because the road, this road that had felt endless, suddenly narrowed, the trees closing in tighter. their branches stretching overhead like fingers interlocking. The light stopped, right in the middle of the road, waiting. "Turn around," Mara said. "Just turn around." "There's nowhere to." "Then make somewhere." My hands shook as I slowed the car. The lights ahead didn't move, didn't flicker, just watched. I turned the wheel sharply, the tires crunching against gravel as I forced the car into a rough, uneven turn. For a moment, we were sideways on the road, exposed, vulnerable. I glanced forward. The lights were closer, much closer, not moving, but closer. "How is it closer?" Jonah said, his voice breaking. I slammed the gas. The car lurched, completing the turn. Now we faced the way we'd come. Empty road. No headlights behind us. Nothing. "Go!" Mara shouted. I did. We sped forward, back the way we came, or what I hoped was the way we came. The trees blurred past. The darkness pressed in. And then, the high beams flashed, right behind us, blinding, immediate, as if the car had never left, as if it had been waiting for us to turn around. Jonah let out a strangled laugh. "It knew," he said. "It knew we'd do that." The light stayed steady now. No more flashing. Just close, too close, filling the mirror. And for the first time, I realized something that made my hands go cold on the wheel. We still couldn't see the car, just the lights. Nothing else. No shape, no body, no driver. Only those two unwavering points, locked onto us with something that felt unmistakably aware. "We're not being followed," Mara whispered. I swallowed. "Then what is it?" Behind us, the lights seemed to draw closer still, impossibly close, until they pressed against the edges of the rear window, like something trying to look in. Her voice dropped to something small. "It's guiding us."